Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. For the last 10 years, my wife and I have been living with her parents. This wasn't an arrangement born out of necessity on our end. It was done out of duty and love. Her parents were getting older and started needing extra help around the house. And they explicitly told my wife that when they either passed away or decided to move, the house would be hers. It made sense. My wife is their only child, and the house has been in the family for decades. They assured us over and over again that there was no question. It was going to be hers, our home. Because of this, we decided to move in and help care for them. This wasn't just a verbal promise either. Over the years, they reinforced this idea constantly. This house is going to be yours one day. We're glad you two are here because it means we don't have to worry about the house staying in the family. Everything we have will be yours eventually. It wasn't just words, though. They treated it like a done deal. Even though we moved in to help them, we didn't freeload. Far from it. We paid rent to help with the bills, even though we weren't legally required to. We weren't just crashing there for free. We contributed every month. On top of that, we took on the responsibility of maintaining the house. And it wasn't just minor maintenance either. Over the last decade, we've spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on major renovations and upgrades. New flooring. The old tiles were missing or broken, and floorboards were rotting. New fence. The last one was so unstable you could literally push it over. New appliances. The fridge leaked and was rusted. The dishwasher needed constant repairs, and the washing machine barely functioned. New siding. It was cracked and falling apart. General home improvements to make the place actually livable. None of these were luxury upgrades. These were necessary repairs and replacements. The house was falling apart in some ways, and we were led to believe we were investing in our future home. We justified spending so much money because, in our minds, this was our forever home. We were ensuring it remained livable because we were the ones who would inherit it. A few weeks ago, my in-laws dropped a bombshell. They're moving. At first, we were confused. They had lived in this house for decades, and we assumed they planned to stay here for the rest of their lives. But my father-in-law has been struggling with serious lung issues, and his doctor has strongly advised that he move to a warmer climate. Cold weather makes his breathing worse, and their current location isn't ideal for his condition anymore. My mother-in-law, never one to challenge doctors, took this as a sign that they needed to relocate. We understood their reasoning, and of course, we didn't expect them to suffer in an environment that was worsening my father-in-law's health. But what came next shocked us to our core. Instead of honoring the promise they had made for over a decade, that the house would belong to my wife, they suddenly decided that they needed to sell it at full market value to fund their move. No discussions, no compromise, just a simple, if you want the house, buy it at market price. Otherwise, we're selling it to someone else. This house, the one we poured our money and labor into for 10 years, the one we believed would be ours, was now being dangled in front of us with a price tag attached. We were stunned. 10 years of promises. 10 years of taking care of them. 10 years of putting our money into their house. And suddenly, it's all meaningless. My wife tried to reason with them. She wasn't expecting a free ride. She just wanted to negotiate a fair deal. Maybe a discount on the house price, or some other arrangement that reflected the years of financial and personal investment we made into the home. But they shot her down immediately. No, we need the full value of the house for our move. When we asked about reimbursement for everything we put into it, they scoffed. We never asked you to pay for those things. You did that on your own. We were floored. On our own. They explicitly led us to believe this was our house in the making. We would never have spent so much money fixing it up if we knew they were just going to turn around and sell it for a profit without a second thought. At this point, we feel completely used. They're walking away with a much more valuable house because of our money, and now they want to profit off our labor while leaving us with nothing. So we're considering suing them. We want reimbursement for everything we put into the house. We're not asking for every single dollar back, but we want compensation for the major investments. Things like the flooring, the fence, the appliances, and the siding. If we hadn't done those things, they wouldn't be able to sell the house at full value right now. They, of course, think we're being selfish and entitled for even suggesting this. They claim that family shouldn't take family to court, and that we should just accept that things change. But here's the thing. We were explicitly promised something, and they led us on for years. If they had told us from the start that they might sell, we would have treated this completely differently. We would have saved our money, invested it elsewhere, and maybe even bought a different house a long time ago. We now face an incredibly difficult decision. If we sue them, we may permanently destroy the relationship with my wife's parents. But at this point, we have to ask ourselves, is there really anything left to save? They clearly have no problem betraying us, taking advantage of our generosity, and then expecting us to just accept it. Why should we walk away empty-handed while they profit off our time, effort, and financial investment? So, Reddit. Would I be the a-hole for suing my in-laws to get back the money we invested into what we were told would be our future home? This is absolutely disgusting behavior from your in-laws. They led you and your wife on for a decade while you poured money and labor into a house they always intended to sell for profit. The worst part is that they clearly had zero intention of telling you the truth until they had to. The fact that they are now refusing to even acknowledge your investment is straight-up theft. If you don't sue, you're just letting them walk away with tens of thousands of dollars of your money. I love how people like your in-laws pull the family shouldn't take family to court card conveniently after they screw you over. Where was that same energy when they decided to go back on their promise and charge you full price for the house you've been maintaining for 10 years? If they truly needed money, they could have worked something out with you, not pulled this sneaky betrayal. They're putting their financial comfort above all else. Sue them. This is exactly why verbal agreements are worthless when it comes to property. It's unfortunate that you trusted them, but now you need to go full legal mode. Consult a lawyer and document every dollar you put into that house. The repairs, the upgrades, the rent, everything. You may not be able to force them to hand over the house, but you can make them pay for using you as free labor for a decade. They used your wife's love and loyalty against her. That's the most heartbreaking part. She spent years taking care of them, helping them, trusting them, and they just cashed out on that trust. I get that your father-in-law's health is an issue, but that doesn't justify treating you both like tenants in your own home after making countless promises. You wouldn't be suing them out of spite. You'd be suing them because they manipulated you into investing in something they knew they'd never let you keep. Update. After much deliberation and heartbreak, my wife and I decided to sue my in-laws for the money we had invested in the house. We had poured too much of our savings and effort into a property that we were led to believe would be ours, only to be blindsided at the last moment. The court proceedings were stressful, and my wife was deeply conflicted about taking legal action against her own parents. However, we knew that if we walked away, we would be left with nothing, while they profited off our financial and physical contributions. The court ruled in our favor. The judge acknowledged that while the house legally belonged to my in-laws, the significant improvements we made increased its market value, and that we were entitled to reimbursement for the upgrades. My in-laws were ordered to compensate us for the major renovations, including the flooring, fencing, appliances, and siding. While we didn't recover every single dollar, we received a substantial portion of our investment back. My in-laws were furious. They had been counting on selling the house at full price to fund their move, and this ruling meant they could no longer afford the home they had planned to buy in the warmer climate for my father-in-law's health issues. Instead of accepting their role in this, they blamed my wife entirely for their predicament. Shortly after the ruling, my in-laws officially disinherited my wife. They called her in a rage, telling her she was no longer their daughter and that she had destroyed the family. They said that she was selfish, greedy, and that they never wanted to hear from her again. My wife is absolutely devastated. She never wanted things to come to this. She spent 10 years caring for them, maintaining their home, and making sure they were comfortable, only to be discarded the moment they didn't get their way. She has been grieving, not just about the betrayal, but now the finality of losing her parents. We're trying to move forward, but it's difficult. We won the legal battle, but we lost her family. She questions whether it was worth it, but I remind her that her parents were always going to cut us off the moment we refused to let them take advantage of us. If we hadn't fought back, they would have walked away with everything and left us with nothing. At the end of the day, justice was served, but the emotional cost was higher than we ever anticipated. We're trying to heal and rebuild our lives, but the scars from this betrayal will take a long time to fade. My stepdaughter Jane is getting married soon, and my husband wants to pay for something. He has had a difficult history with Jane. When he began dating me, she was very aggressive and rude. He tried to set boundaries, but she was out of control. He ended up saying he wouldn't pay for college due to how disrespectful she was being. Jane began seeing a much older man with money, got pregnant at 19, and he married her. They had a shotgun wedding and an extremely toxic relationship. But by the time Jane left him, she had a master's degree he had fully paid for, a great career, and she got a large payout in the divorce. Needless to say, Jane is doing well. Jane is getting married now. The man she is marrying has even more money than her, and they live very well. Jane's son is also getting married, and Jane isn't contributing at all because she doesn't like the bride. Our daughter together is a sophomore in college and has been with her partner since high school and hopes to marry him when she graduates. Originally, we thought we would give Jane and our daughter $30,000 each when they married, but then Jane skipped the wedding the first time. My husband brought up that he wants to give it to her now, and I said I don't see the point when she is doing so well financially. Plus, she isn't young and just starting out. She owns 2 homes. Her son is an adult. There is no reason she can't pay. He said he feels guilty and wants to offer it to her. I do think she will decline. I suggested we either give it to our daughter's wedding fund or give some to Jane's poor son, who she cut off financially. The money could really help either of them and would mean nothing to Jane. My husband accused me of just wanting to punish her for being a bad teenager and wanting everything for our bio daughter. He agreed to compromise and asked about just paying for her dress, $9,000. I still said I don't think it's right for a second wedding when we have 2 couples just starting out. To be clear, Jane has never asked for anything, and I don't judge her at all for wanting extravagant things. I just think she needs to pay for them when she has more than enough money. My daughter is 20. Jane is 41. Her son is 22. I'm 53. My husband is 62. Yes, the a-hole. Your daughter is younger than your step-grandchild, and you're almost in the middle of your stepdaughter and your husband's ages. No wonder your relationship with her is messed up. Also, you did nothing while she was the only child in the family and was in a toxic relationship with an older man, not even mentioning the way you brought it up like it was some point against her. You clearly resent her and are unable to empathize with her. How can you care more about supporting her child than you've clearly ever been about supporting her? She's bad for not supporting her son's marriage because she doesn't like his future spouse, but it was okay for your husband to not want to support her education because she was rude to you. Boy, you're a hateful piece of work. I've been with my girlfriend for 6 years, and recently I've been wondering if she is really the one. I didn't doubt that she was until I recently started a new career and got a new partner at work, 29 male. He's been married for a year and has been with his wife, 28 female, for 7 years. We, him and I, spend over 40 hours a week together and have become fairly close. We've been talking about double dating so our significant others can meet, and when I brought it up to my girlfriend, I'll call her Sarah, she was really against the idea. In all honesty, she's been against this new career change in general, even though I make more money and get many more benefits, because she doesn't like the hours, and she says everyone in my profession cheats. When I brought it up, she became very distant and said something along the lines of, don't remember the exact words, why would I want to spend time with these people and give him, my partner, the idea that he's close to me, can ever know me better than she does? It didn't really make sense, but after talking about it, it seemed like she felt like she was being replaced by my partner because we have to spend so much time together, and I only get to see her 2 or 3 times a week with my schedule, her part-time job, and she's going to uni full-time. I assured her that she was my number one, and he was just a cool guy that I'm forced to be with due to circumstances. We didn't talk about it again for a couple weeks. Then, a few weeks ago, I was at the bar with my cousin. She was invited, but she doesn't like my cousin because she finds him too boisterous, candid. And I ended up bumping into my work partner and his wife, my first time meeting her. His wife is very unlike my girlfriend, much more extroverted. She immediately got very excited when my partner told her who I was and told me about all the funny stories she heard about me. I was kind of thrown off about how open and friendly she was, since my girlfriend sort of convinced me that her feelings of not wanting to meet, associate with them, were normal. And like every girl would feel that way, I guess. I don't know. But his wife immediately launched into how we all have to get together finally, and watching the two of them together was just so opposite of how my girlfriend and I act. They animate each other like a two-person comedy act, and I found myself becoming a bit jealous. I did get a little tipsy and admitted to his wife that my girlfriend was worried about the cheating that people associate with my field, and she sort of laughed and said that people say the same thing about her, but that she trusts my work partner, and she just laughs it off when people say things. At work the next day, my partner ended up telling me that my cousin I was with at the bar was talking to his wife and confessed to his wife that he doesn't even like Sarah, news to me, and that the things my cousin told her, he didn't specify, worried her, because she was really looking forward to hanging out together, and she was now afraid my girlfriend wouldn't like her. I pressed him for more details, but he either didn't know or didn't want to say. That night I mentioned to Sarah casually that I bumped into them, and his wife really wanted to meet her. She didn't like this, and again told me she was too busy and had no interest in pretending to be best friends with people who think they're so close to me. I dropped it because it was late, but it started to get on my nerves how opposite these two women are and react to things. Then, yesterday happened. My work partner and I had a really early meeting in a city about an hour and a half away, and the night prior, we weren't getting out of our work until 10 p.m. My work partner offered to let me stay at his house because we had to be up at 4:30 a.m., and he lives an hour closer. I was stressing out because I didn't have time to iron a suit, and I called Sarah and asked if she would go to my apartment. We don't live together, but she has a key, and set up a suit for me. It's crucial that we look put together at work, and I knew she wasn't doing anything that night. She got really angry. First, that I was staying over at my partner's house, then that I was treating her like a slave. I had never in my life asked her to do anything like this, but I am still very new in my position and I'm stressed out. She said she had too much work to do and refused. I ran home after work, grabbed my stuff, and drove to my partner's house. I guess I was visibly agitated because his wife asked me what was wrong the minute I arrived, and I just spilled it about how stressed and exhausted I was, nervous for tomorrow, and how Sarah had snapped at me and wouldn't help me. His wife just said, "Okay, we will have to get back to that Sarah thing at another time, but go relax and I will get your suit ready." I tried to argue because I felt really bad, but she wasn't having any of it and started to flat out ignore my protests while she got the iron set up. It just showed me again how different they are and what a supportive partner actually looks like. I got off really early today and I have barely talked to Sarah all day. Now I am just drinking beers in my apartment alone, something I rarely do, and wondering if this relationship is even worth it anymore. I don't have a crush on my partner's wife or anything, but she seems to possess all of the qualities I feel like I want, and I am finding myself getting really jealous and annoyed. But after 6 years, I really don't want to throw everything away if this is something that we can work through. As I was reading your story, it struck me how fear can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sarah is so afraid of losing you, and now her fear is making you question your relationship. Has she lost other people in her life because they've moved on? If you could get her to look at what she's doing, you might still have a chance to make this work. The extroversion doesn't matter, and remember, you're only seeing the side of this woman that she presents to the world, her husband's workmates. Your girlfriend, however, sounds very unsupportive, cynical, negative, and insecure. Those are all valid reasons to question a future with her. Have you asked her why her attitudes are so negative? Edit. I see I'm getting a lot of reoccurring questions, so instead of answering each of them, I'll leave this here. We don't live together because prior to this new job, I didn't make as much, and my apartment is very small and not meant for 2 people, and she is doing her master's and only works part-time for low pay, and doesn't want to pitch in for rent so we can move to a bigger place. She lives at home with her parents. Even with my new job, I can't afford a bigger place all on my own yet, while also paying for student loans, utilities, my car, which is a necessity where I live, etc. Also, I know 2 to 3 times a week seeing each other is not a ton, but we spend all my days off together. We didn't see each other more than this prior either, because my old job was still 40+ hours, and I was also going to school. People think it's strange that I mentioned her being introverted as it were a bad thing, It's not. I used to think I was happy not seeing our friends often, but my job is social in nature, and I find that I enjoy being more outgoing than I used to be. This doesn't mean I go out every night. I see my friends, cousin, maybe once every 1 to 2 months, or that I want to go to bars and clubs. But it does bug me that anytime I suggest doing anything, she makes an excuse like she doesn't like the person, has no interest in meeting new people, doesn't feel like seeing her friends, doesn't feel like getting dressed up, she's tired, etc. I want us to do new things, together. Additionally, I've been asked a lot what I've done to support her, and why I expect support. Let me make it clear. First, that I have never asked her to run an errand or do anything for me before. I asked this one time because I was exhausted and stressed. I didn't expect her to drive an hour to drop it off at my partner's house, just leave it on my bed so I could grab it on my way home. As for what I do to support her, I've helped her many times with research for papers when she was stressed over school. I've taken a week off of work when one of her relatives died and she needed to be with someone. I've taken her car to get fixed numerous times, etc., etc. I text or call her whenever I can, which is multiple times a day, and I talk to her every night when I get off. I don't even spend tons of off-duty time with my partner. The one time at the bar was literally the first time I've seen him outside of work. We just have been talking about getting together for ages. Hope this clarifies some points a bit. So now that's out of the way. I am not a spy or hitman or something crazy. A few of you tried to convince me that I am an a-hole for not disclosing my job, since, apparently, I can't be given advice without saying it. I described so many details in my last post that I hope people can just give me at least 1 ounce of anonymity. My career is known for cheating only because of the unpredictable hours. Some scumbags, apparently a lot of them on Yahoo Questions and Wedding Bee and other cesspits of advice that show up on Google, use these hours to their advantage. I.e., oh, I got caught on overtime tonight, when really, they are all out cheating. This is not a prevalent thing in my experience, but my girlfriend Sarah was Googling my career spouse, came across hundreds of articles, most of them benign, and latched onto the few that stated we all use our schedules for the sake of cheating and nothing else. Anyway, on to the update. I'm not delusional. A lot of you told me that the only reason I admired my work partner's wife is because she showed her best face to me in public. Of course, this is true. I don't expect anyone to be perfect. What stands out to me, however, is that there is a lot of downtime in my position, and my partner and I BS. Every single thing that he has ever said about his wife is positive. Naturally, I would hope that would be the case for anyone, but I see something in the way he talks about her that I do not feel when I think about Sarah. He ruminates about their vacations and silly stories and stupid random nights they have together, and I realize that I don't get to enjoy any of that with her. Sarah doesn't like being out of her comfort zone. She doesn't like being spontaneous. She doesn't like being silly. I never knew that this bothered me before, but when I saw how funny and silly they acted together right in front of my face, it just confirmed that I could actually have fun in a relationship. It made me realize that I am not having fun, and that sucked. So, after I slept over at my coworker's house, Sarah wasn't talking to me, except for sending me passive-aggressive texts about how she hoped that I enjoyed my romantic evening, and that she hoped he was worth it. Many of you indicated how insecure she must be that we can barely spend much time together, and suddenly it seems like I am being close to someone new, when after 6 years, we maybe weren't as close as we should be. I took this to heart, and I saw her point. So, the next time I was off, this past Sunday, I took her out to brunch, one of the few activities she likes to do, bought us some mimosas to break the ice, and tried to talk to her about the way that she's been feeling. I started the conversation saying, I know it sucks that we can't see each other as much as we wish we could right now. And believe me, I wish that could be the case. However, I feel like this is causing more tension than it used to, and I want to know what you've been feeling about all this lately. I was hoping for an honest conversation where we could both learn from each other and move forward with new compromises. But she just unleashed. She told me that she doesn't think I have a reason to be close to anyone but her, that my partner sounds like a F, her words, not mine, and just wants to duck me, that his wife is probably just fed up with not getting any D from him and is trying to move in on me, and on and on. In retrospect, I feel like she is just very insecure, and this was her way of attacking me and trying to hold me back so I could reassure her. But at the moment, I couldn't think of a way to respond. I tried to deny what she was saying, explained to her that that wasn't the case, and asked what I could do to show her. But she just kept verbally assaulting my partner and his wife, and me for even entertaining the idea of being friends with them. I stopped talking, and we ended up finishing our meal in silence. Her fuming, me just feeling awkward at this point. Afterwards, we got back into my car, and I started driving towards her house. She noticed that we weren't going towards the direction of my apartment, and she started yelling at me for trying to drop her off and not wanting to spend more time with her. At this point, I had had enough. I drove to her house in silence, her berating me the entire way, and then listened to her continue to scream at me for 10 minutes after we pulled up, until finally getting out, slamming the passenger door, and going inside the house. I went back to my apartment, spent about 30 minutes on the phone with my sister, 2 years younger than me, asking her what the duck I should do, and then decided, probably cowardly after such a long relationship, but really not wanting to be screamed at anymore, to send her a long text message about my reasons for breaking up with her. She didn't take this well, and blew up my phone over and over until I just turned it off completely. The next day I had to work, and I tried to talk to her about things back and forth over text, but she kept deferring back to her state of cursing at me and insulting me. In the end, I just told her that I could no longer be a part of her life, and blocked her. So that was 4 days ago, and I haven't heard from her since. She deleted her Facebook though. And honestly, I've been a lot calmer these last 4 days than I have in a long time. It makes me feel guilty at times, but also kind of excited that I can act however I want to act from now on without someone looking down at me for it. Hey man, you can have a relationship like your partner has, but probably not with Sarah. Sarah isn't growing as a person like you are.